listening to the entire Hunter Biden trial in person today. And oh boy, weren't the lies about Hunter Biden's laptop now coming full circle around as the as the actual defendants in the trial, the government is using the laptop as evidence. Oh, I guess it was all true. All you 51 intel agencies who lied to the American public about being Russian disinformation, or at least likely Russian disinformation. You knew exactly what you were doing. You were influencing a campaign. Oh my gosh, just like Donald Trump was accused of doing. But so we're going to cover those lies. I've got a lot of clips from that Fauci meeting that hopefully we'll get to, because there were a number of COVID lies that were revealed and exposed in that hearing as well. I think it's important for people to listen to it. I listened to the 3.5 hours of it. I know most people don't necessarily do that, but I'll tell you what, it was a wealth of information. Okay, I admit it. I skipped over a lot of the Democrats who were talking. It wasn't really worth listening to additional lies. But before we begin, and before we get Garrett Ziegler on tonight in a few minutes, I wanted to start out with this story about Gotion. And this comes straight from the House Committee, Select Committee on the Communist Chinese Party, and they wrote a letter to the Honorable Robert Silvers. He's the Undersecretary for Strategy, Policy, and Plans in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And they wrote this letter. And they said, we write to request that the Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force immediately place Gotion High Tech on the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act entity list. Newly discovered information indicates that Gotion maintains extensive business relationships in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region and in other provinces or regions in the People's Republic of China with companies directly linked to forced labor. That's slave labor, by the way. That's slave labor. Forced labor, and involved in the ongoing genocide of Uyghurs and other predominantly Muslim ethnic groups. Multiple companies in Gotion's direct supply chain manufacture or process materials in that region, engage in state-sponsored Uyghur labor transfer programs, conduct, quote, poverty alleviation, quote. That's actually another way that they actually force labor to move where they want it to be used in that region, and are otherwise closely linked to forced labor. So yeah, there you go. In fact, one company already tied to Gotion is on this Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force list. And so that's what they're doing. They're doing their work here, this committee, which fortunately Congressman Darren LaHood is on. And he also sent me his press release on this same thing. But here's the deal. Here's what people need to be aware of. We gave Gotion $500 million of tax incentives, and Pritzker's not saying a darn thing. Did you give your tax money, Illinoisans, so that we can hand it over to a company controlled by the communist Chinese? Yes, it is effectively controlled by the communist Chinese. That is without a doubt true. And in fact, this letter, this press release goes into that as well, and says that they are effectively controlled by the Chinese. That means they're controlled by the Chinese communists. Did you give your tax money, your hard-earned tax money, to the state government so that Governor Pritzker could turn around and give $500 million to people that are engaged in forced labor, slave labor? I don't care where it happens, China or elsewhere. It's absolutely immoral. We should be asking for our money back ASAP. That's what we should be doing. It is disgusting that this is going on. And why is it going on? Oh, for this whole idea that, we need electrical vehicles everywhere. Gotion is going to set up shop in Manteno, and they're going to produce electric vehicle batteries for Rivian, who can't seem to sell cars at a profit. In fact, they lost, I think, $37,000 on every single vehicle that they owned. Every single entity involved in EVs is backing away. CNBC put out a report this week saying that, you know what? Hey, Hertz is doing a great job dropping the cost of EVs. Why? Because they're dumping every single EV, and now you can buy one from Hertz, apparently on the resale market, for $25,000. So if you want a cheap EV, go ahead. Go find out how to get one from Hertz, who is dumping these EVs. Look, the last thing people want to do is pick up an EV while you're on vacation in a foreign place. You don't know where the charging places are, and you don't want to wait an hour during your vacation time to charge a vehicle. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. They are forcing this on people when the market is not even ready for it. And one more thing before we get to Garrett. Garrett, you're just going to have to hold on because I got to finish with this because it's such a great topic. Wall Street Journal, James Freeman article, June 7th, 2024. How many trillions will you pay for electric vehicles? This is important. He says it's become common for some politicians to present a transition away from fossil fuels as similar to other historic transitions in which societies abandoned old energy sources in favor of new ones. But this time really is different. Consumers in previous societies embraced new technologies because they afforded easier and cheaper ways to sustain and enhance life. The contemporary mania is to abandon consumer preferences, however, and instead enforce a trade down to uneconomical but politically favored methods of powering our lives. So it's important to understand just how far the new government mandate and subsidy systems will travel away from economic sense. It goes on to talk about the National Center for Energy Analytics, Jonathan Lesser, went on and talked about how our grid is not ready for any of this. In fact, he estimates that it'll take between $2 and $4 trillion just to put the physical infrastructure in place to support an all-EV future. It's not possible. Look, my husband just got off a project because he builds this stuff. He builds large utility construction projects across the United States. He builds substations and you name it. He's actually also built wind farms, which that's a whole nother topic to discuss with him. But his last project was in Staten Island, a 3.5-year project to put in 130 kV double capacity underground wire to replace what had been there for 50 years because it was failing. 4 miles of it cost $160 million, and it took 3.5 years for 4 miles of new underground wire. You think we're ready for EVs? You're 100% wrong. Every single house would have to be upgraded. And that's a cost too. Homeowners aren't going to buy it. And people don't want them. And they're going to force it onto you. And in the meantime, we are only doing, in the midst of doing all of this, we are supplying the Chinese Communist Party with money. And they're taking that money and they are abusing people. They are using them for slave labor. Everything about this is bad. And we need to have serious conversations with our politicians and tell them we want that deal with Gotion rescinded ASAP, and we want our $125 million back that you gave them in cash less than 6 months ago. We want our money back, Governor Pritzker, and we should demand it. And everybody on this that's listening to me, you need to demand that too. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back with Garrett Ziegler.
Brandon Tatum isn't sure Biden's message hit home.
Today in Georgia, they won't allow water to be available to you while you wait in line to vote in an election. What in the hell is that all about?
So, black people, it's like you think we live in huts in the middle of a desert somewhere.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hard-working military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way It gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dynavite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dynavite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's dynavite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynavite.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay, let's just go ahead and remember back what happened in October of 2020. And we're going to have John Ratcliffe explain it to us. He was on the Maria Bartiromo Store show, Sunday Morning Futures, last week. Here's what he had to say.
By authenticating that laptop and acknowledging that it's true, what are the consequences of that, right? Because what Alvin Bragg said and what the White House has now endorsed in saying that this was a legitimate conviction of Donald Trump was Alvin Bragg said the crime here was that Donald Trump hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. So what about all the people that hid damaging information in the form of the laptop during the 2020 election? There should be an investigation and there should be consequences of that.
And that was the former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, with me here last weekend on the Justice Department using Hunter Biden's laptop as evidence in Hunter's ongoing federal gun trial. This despite just weeks before the 2020 presidential election, when President Biden called it Russian disinformation, and House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff and 51 former intelligence officials signed a letter calling the laptop Russian disinformation, a claim that was quickly debunked by Ratcliffe in an interview with me on Mornings with Maria on Fox Business just a couple of weeks before the election.
There you go. That's exactly what happened. And here to talk about that laptop, because he has revealed everything, every criminal piece of content in that laptop he has revealed. He put it into a online. He put it into a book, and his site is called Marco Polo. And I want to welcome to the show right now, Garrett Ziegler. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Jeannie. Good evening.
Garrett, so you're being sued by Hunter Biden. We've talked about that before. And so you took it upon yourself to go out and listen in on this particular trial with Hunter Biden regarding the gun charges. Tell us what that was like and what you learned.
Yes, so I've been in the courtroom every day this week, Monday through Friday. Jury selection started on Monday. The last 4 days have been argument, and it ends tomorrow in terms of the argumentation, with deliberations probably happening on Tuesday. They're going to get their jury instructions tomorrow afternoon. And what's happened is the first family and their antics is on display. It's prudent for me to be out here for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm fascinated in this story, in the cover-up, in the criminality revealed on the device. I think in 100 years it'll be looked at as probably within the top 3 biggest conspiracies in the first part of the century. Obviously, nothing can top 9/11, right? And a couple of other violent stories. But in terms of political corruption, this is the highest it gets. This is the U.S. president and everybody who gets their job from him. To just add on to what Ratcliffe said, and this is relevant to the trial because the physical device was admitted into an exhibit. as an exhibit. Anthony Blinken, the current Secretary of State, who's responsible for the fiasco in the Middle East right now, along with Joe, he is the guy who organized that letter from the 51 former spooks. It's Anthony Blinken. So he got his payout in the form of the Secretary of State position, arguably the third most powerful position in the U.S. executive branch. And what's been going on is revelations that we put on our dossier: drug use, a decrepit family. Remember, Joe's the patriarch of a family of drunken drug addicts. This isn't one black sheep of Hunter. This is the entire family. And it's also prudent for me to be out here at the trial for another reason. Because they're suing us, they have to make certain statements, right, in their pleadings in the Central District of California Federal Court. Well, they've made contradictory statements to a federal judge in the criminal case in Delaware. That's a bar violation. Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, who's not only arguing his criminal case, but is arguing the civil case against me and my group, Marco Polo, he has committed so many ethical violations in this. They said that it is his data in the Central District of California, and therefore he's suing us because we're using his data. But then on the record in the criminal case, he's saying, well, we can't be sure it's his data because it could have been messed with. We call it Schrodinger's laptop, Jeannie. It is authentic when it suits their purposes and inauthentic when it doesn't. The problem is when you submit stuff in federal court or even in state court, if that is knowingly false, he needs to be sanctioned. Abby Lowell needs to lose his bar license, and he's the guy on the floor this week in Delaware.
Well, I mean, it's just I appreciate you being out there. Did you notice your book floating around in the courtroom?
Yes.
Did you really? Okay, I was just like throwing that out there.
No, not in the courtroom itself, but outside of the courthouse. Absolutely, somebody was distributing copies of the dossier outside of the courthouse, and I was giving it away to people. You know, one event that transpired on Tuesday is everybody took about a 10 to 15 minute break. There's about, it only holds 80 people in the gallery. It's not a huge court gallery. Mm-hmm. And I was out getting a drink at the water fountain, and his wife, his second wife, Melissa Cohen, came up to me and got 6 inches from my face and said, "You have no right to be here, you POS Nazi." And the U.S. Marshal actually had to pull her back from me. These are the type of crazed individuals that are in the U.S. First Family. And again,
real
Melissa
nice.
From
Wow. Wow. That's classy.
Yes.
That's real classy, Biden.
Very classy. And I didn't say anything back to her, right? Because we're outside. We're just outside of the courtroom. This is not the place to do that. So the Washington Post, in their article about it, said that I was a provocateur. Couldn't be further from the truth. I said nothing to her even afterwards because I'm a gentleman. This family is nuts. I didn't say one thing in the courtroom. I didn't say one thing outside. I went to get a drink just like everybody else. So go ahead.
Tell me about how did it come out in the argument that, or was it just because they flat out, they admitted the laptop as evidence, and so that's how everybody now knows it is truly real? Or we knew that anyway. I mean, we knew that back in October of 2020, but now is this like the big official statement that this is real?
This is the big official statement, and the reason why, because remember, the FBI is corrupt. They didn't want to have to do this, but to prove their case, they need to prove that Hunter knowingly lied on the firearm form to get the gun. And why they needed to admit the laptop is they're using text messages, because it's obvious once you go through the laptop. They're using text messages and photos and other digital material that came from that laptop. So naturally, when they're admitting those exhibits, they also need to admit the actual device and go through the chain of custody of that device. Because if you're an honest juror, you could say, well, where are these pictures from, right? And there's so many damning text messages. A day after he gets the gun, he tells his lover, who is his brother's widow, that he's laying on top of a car smoking crack and waiting for a dealer named Mookie. And this is in Wilmington, about blocks from the courthouse. So the 3 felonies that Hunter's being charged on, 2 are relating to a form. The third is owning a firearm while being a user. Now, ironically, Jeannie, as a Second Amendment absolutist, I don't think the third charge is constitutional. And that's what makes Melissa Cohen's tirade and accosting of me is so ridiculous, that we're fair to Hunter, right? He's not suing us for defamation. I've never said a false thing about Hunter.
Right.
That's all they have against me is an ad hominem attack, meaning I don't want
Right.
somebody to get charged with unconstitutional. I want the third charge to be dismissed. And I've said that from the very beginning. The 18 U.S.C. 922G is unconstitutional. I don't care if you're a user. If somebody comes into your house, you should be able to have a gun and repel them as a mode of self-defense. But he's clearly guilty of the first two felonies. Well, he's guilty of all, but the third is unconstitutional.
Right.
But they're just wanting – yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, this is I think the big alarming news that came out, though, is that the government's using the actual laptop as evidence, which means the laptop is real, and it's a laptop that they actually had in their possession since 2019, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And
December
they just
9th, 2019.
Yeah, and
Yep.
they knew it, and they could have said something about it. They could have, but they leaked instead to Anthony Blinken leaked instead to 51 intel officers to sign off saying this is Russian disinformation. Joe Biden uses that same sort of letter in his debate against Trump, trying to tie him to be in a colluding with Russia and them going after his son. It's just. This is all just, I don't know. Finally, lies are getting exposed, but it takes 4 years, and it takes, the highest inflation in, 40 years, and destruction of the housing market and the energy market, and 10 million illegals coming through, and, 3 wars, occurring, and you name it. And then finally, and this is why we have Biden. I mean, we have Biden because of this laptop discussion.
I agree.
That's why
the loan poll said it would sway 7 to 10% of people. That is huge. That denominator is huge, and I urge everybody to go read we actually ran out of reports in part thanks to Melissa. We sold hundreds that day, so she's stupid for doing that because it got people curious about what I've been doing. But everybody should go to our free e-reader. BidenReport.com, and we go through that backstory, especially with the Spooks letter and the debate, for about 5 to 10 pages. And there's 2,000 footnotes, and everybody can dive deeper into what you and I are talking about here tonight.
Say again what that website is.
BidenReport.com. BidenReport.com.
Okay, before I let you go, we only have about a minute left here. How is Peter Navarro doing? Is he out of jail now? Did he get 2 months off? His sentence cut in half, like most criminals do, or quote unquote criminals? He's not a criminal.
Yeah, he is. He's still in there.
He's still in there.
1 month left. He's still in there. He's exactly 1 month left. My mother and everybody in my life has been writing him. It's a shame. He gets up at 4 and walks on the track, and he's in the law library all day. So he'll probably have another half of a book done, hilariously. Tragically now, Steve Bannon is going to the clink, absent a miracle. So this is Joe. This is Joe, though. Every single person who went against him and exposed his family's connections to the CCP, I'm being sued by both his son and the sugar brother who funds his son. Peter's in the clink. Bannon is going to the clink. Rudy has had his apartment raided, and Miles Guo is on trial right now in Manhattan. This is a tyrant.
Yeah. Well, in my commentary this week, I basically said at least we are starting the day of reckoning for the lies that have been told to the American public for the last 4 years. And that's with Fauci on the hot stand, and now the government using the Hunter Biden laptop, which they had previously said was false information. So, Garrett, thanks a lot. Are you going back next week to hear the rest of the trial?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I probably won't, just because I think he's going to be guilty. If I had any question, I probably would. But I appreciate, and hopefully we can go on and talk more about it.
All right, go to BidenReport.com. Thanks a lot, Garrett, for joining me tonight on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Charlie Kirk knows why Biden wants to debate.
It is now proven that the internal polling in the Biden campaign means he knows he's losing. His own internal tracking is not on pace, and if the election were held today, Joe Biden does not feel good about his chances. There is no other reason.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox News
I'm Ann Carrick. New executive action by President Biden is meant to stop asylum seekers at the border. Democrats call it a return to Trump-era policies. Delaware Democratic Senator Chris Coons on CBS's Face the Nation says there is a difference.
We were one day away from putting on the floor of the Senate that bipartisan solution. Former President Trump intervened to stop it because former President Trump actually wants a problem to solve through his election rather than a solution that a bipartisan group of senators stood behind.
Former President Trump commenting at a rally today in Las Vegas.
What he signed means nothing. In fact, it makes it easier. In my opinion, it opens the border still further.
CBP telling Fox News about 4,000 illegal immigrants were apprehended the first full day after the executive order. America's listening to Fox News.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity. Golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer. Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Exxon has long been subjected to harassing proposals from anti-oil and anti-gas activists, forcing their proposals on the company's annual meetings with the help of federal regulators. The activists' agenda, to be clear, would destroy those companies and the American economy along with it. Exxon took legal action, and the proposal was dropped. Blue states then attempted to use their retirees' pension assets to stage a coup for control of Exxon, the world's largest privately owned energy company. Red states, represented by the State Financial Officers Foundation, fought back, urging investment firms to back the board. What happened? Exxon, red states, real investors, and freedom won big. The entire board was re-elected with an average of 95% support. If the blue states had succeeded, this would have been the first time in American history that a state government essentially took control of a publicly traded company. We dodged a bullet.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-789-0374 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-789-0374. That's 800-789-0374. What do you have to lose? Call 800-789-0374. Again, 800-789-0374.
We now now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday night. The phone number here is 312-642-5600. Well, that was a great segment with Garrett Ziegler. Very thankful for his work and for the fight that he's taking on to hold these folks accountable. Anyway, there's a lot of work going on in the state of Illinois as well, trying to hold some people accountable. And my next guest is one of those folks, and it is Chris Cashman. I welcome him to the program. He is a former Chicago Public Schools teacher, and he left. He left Chicago Public Schools. He now teaches elsewhere, and I'll let him decide if he wants to tell you that or not. But on Friday night, he was in Portage Park, I believe we were. It was in Chicago somewhere, and it was... we did a little bit of a presentation. Chris did a presentation to Hispanic parents completely in Spanish, and he told them exactly what was happening in Chicago Public Schools and the indoctrination taking place. So I wanted to have him on my program and kind of let other people understand what his story is and what's going on. So Chris, thanks so much for coming on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Thank you, Jean. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so why don't we just start with that? What you start out with Chicago Public Schools, like most young teachers, usually get involved for the love of teaching, and you want to help children, and you've got a gift for it, and you get involved, and then it essentially at some point you just couldn't stay. So could you just tell my audience a little bit about your experience there?
Sure. You know, I've really enjoyed being a teacher. I teach Spanish, and nothing gets me up in the morning like being able to teach students how to speak Spanish, exposing them to Spanish-speaking cultures and history and current events. That kind of stuff keeps me ticking. And I've really enjoyed doing that for many years, and enjoyed it the years I did it at Chicago Public Schools. I started in CPS in 2012, really having a wonderful experience. And around 2015 was when I started to hear talk, and we started to get presentations at school about how to deal with transgender issues and transgender students, and how to receive them, and the importance of asking students for their pronouns. And in fact, I still remember the very moment where I heard that for the first time, a teacher sitting right next to me in a presentation who said that we should have all students introduce themselves with their pronouns, and we should introduce ourselves with our pronouns. And that struck me as a bit odd at the time. This is 9 years ago. And things just continue to develop. I started to see an increased number of students who identified with a different gender than the one listed on their school info, or the one that was just readily obvious. Having them in my classroom. Started to have students ask for different names, go by different pronouns, and then an increased amount of professional development that we had about it. And I remember in 2018, there was an integrity memo sent to us by Chicago Public Schools that outlined a lot of specific guidance about how to address the situation. And up to that point, it seemed like it was a topic that was just discussed in my building, and it was my building leadership giving us advice about how to address transgender students and how to understand who they are and what their needs were. But I remember it was 2018, which is the earliest date I remember receiving official correspondence from Chicago Public Schools about this issue. And I remember that it struck me at that time because it was an official, public school district-wide document about, stating that students have the right to be addressed by the name and pronoun that correspond to the gender identity they consistently assert at school. It talked about overnight trips. It talked about restroom and locker accessibility, a whole number of issues. And I realized at that point, okay, this is not just This is not something that is just a fad among the youth.
Mm-hmm.
This is a way of thinking. This is an ideology that is now coming from the school district, and there are going to be a set of requirements that come along with it. There's much more I could say, but if you want to interject anything, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. So, was there any pushback by any of the teachers?
Not really. Not really. There were a lot of questions, as I had a lot of questions as well. And Gene, let me tell you something. If there's one lesson that I can learn from going through this whole experience, I'm going to confess. I had a lot of cowardice for many years in not speaking up more, not raising my voice, not raising more questions in a more public setting. And I think that I and others were just really under the impression that we were given the impression that this is how things are. This is how things are going to be. In fact, I remember a coworker of mine in 2021 in a meeting in which he was presenting some of the new things that Chicago Public Schools, well, highlighting some things that Chicago Public Schools wanted of us teachers, and he chopped his hand twice in front of the whole faculty and said, "This is doctrine." And a few minutes later, he chopped his hand again and said, "This is doctrine." And
so, wait, so did this come from school leadership?
So let me actually go into that 2021 moment a little bit. So
okay,
what
Chris,
happened
guess what? We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back to continue the story. We want to hear how this even got started. Okay.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Nature is quite the artist, wouldn't you agree? The pigments that nature uses to paint its fruits and vegetables aren't there just for visual appeal. Those colorings are also essential to our nutrition. Hi, my name is Vincent Clemens, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I found that the vast majority of my clients rarely got enough servings of fruits and vegetables. Balance of Nature dietary supplements can provide more of the concentrated fruit and vegetable ingredients and these pigments. Please remember that consuming a balanced diet should be your first priority in improving your health. Nonetheless, if you're considering a nutritional supplement, then I highly recommend Balance of Nature.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
Hi, this is Maria and Diane with the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of App Properties Christie's International. We wanted to tell you why we placed number 9 in Illinois as the top producing real estate team and number 1 in Arlington Heights.
In the past 9 years, we assisted 1,975 buyers and sellers achieve the American dream of home ownership, selling $720 million in real estate.
If you are considering making a move, we can help you get the most value for your home in today's market.
Maria and I have over 50 years of combined experience. We take a conservative approach in protecting your asset and will give you the direction and professional advice needed to achieve a successful transaction.
Our pledge to you is to have your best interest at heart. So get the special attention you deserve with our white glove service from our city division to the suburbs.
Contact us for a free, no-obligation market analysis at thedmregroup.com. That's thedmregroup.com.
Information verification MRED LLC 2013 to 2022. Real Trends Large Teams 2022.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, let's get right back at it. We still have Chris Cashman on the phone. He is a former Chicago Public Schools teacher, and we were discussing how the transgender support system got started at CPS. Who started it? How did it come about? You had already essentially said that you started to notice it in 2015, and it seems sort of benign at that point. Maybe we should talk about what the kids' pronouns are. Maybe we should introduce her that way, but no formal process coming through. And then as things went on, it got pretty strident, and now it's basically a mandated thing that you will support transgender students, that you will ask them about their pronouns. And now it's gotten to the point where there's curriculum surrounding it, and it's nefarious. I mean, it's some of the worst stuff that you can start to indoctrinate a kid with. So, Chris, let's go back a little bit. First, don't tell us what school, but what grade level did you teach? And do you know if this type of discussions about transgender, was it going from high school all the way down to kindergarten?
Yeah, so I taught high school,
Okay.
and I know that now at this point, Chicago Public Schools definitely intentionally builds in understanding, or their understanding of gender ideology, starting from the youngest grades up through the highest level. And in fact, my observation in looking at the guidelines and the standards is that they introduce the concept of gender versus gender identity, because sex and gender identity they believe are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And Chicago Public Schools teaches that those are social constructs, that they're not rooted in biology. That's their exact verbiage. And so they build that in from the youngest ages. Even a mother at my church that has a third grader has told me that her son came home one day talking about what he learned at school that day about binary and non-binary genders, and everybody was sharing their pronouns. So that's at least in third grade. And my observation of the curriculum is that the goal of Chicago Public Schools is that by seventh grade, students can be allies and advocates of LGBTQ people and causes. So that's been my observation of the curriculum.
So they're turning some of these students into little activists for the transgender community, it appears.
Correct. That's the best word for it.
And then you're almost forced to be an ally. Is there forced? I don't know, coloring books or activities or things like that nature. They have to write about it.
The Chicago Public Schools does include some resources that certain teachers are expected to cover and touch on. What, as a high school Spanish teacher, the expectation for me was that when students give you a certain pronoun that they want you to use, a certain gender they want to be referred to as, even a different name, you're obligated to do that. And if the student requests that it be kept a secret, that it be kept private and confidential from their parents and guardians, or even other adults in the building at school, I have to abide by that. I have to respect that student's wishes. And so if I'm calling home, I have to use a different name with the parents, a different gender, a different pronoun in referring to the student. And that, having to do that is where I really began to feel like I was being morally compromised, and I felt really unsettled.
Mm-hmm. So again, I guess we didn't finish the conversation. I want to go back to it real quick. So is this coming from the top down? Because in 2019, the Illinois State Board of Education passed official guidance saying that you will have all these supportive mechanisms in place for transgender students. And they also passed off as official guidance as well that if the student does not want the parent to know about their social transitioning at school, then the school is obligated to not inform them. Now it's just guidance. None of this has been law. It's not been passed into law. But obviously, a number of school districts, including my own in Wheaton, have picked that up as their official guidance. They practice this. We know that they practice it, but it's getting even worse than that. So do you know, do you feel it came from the very top down, or do you feel like there was a bubbling up from particular teachers to make this happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have to say it's the latter. It's the bubbling up of certain teachers. Now, in fact, in my own school building, we were practicing that, started practicing that, I'd say, 2017, 2018. But again, then it was shortly after that. 2018 is the earliest documentation that I have where it definitely became a district mandate and was definitely a top-down thing.
So how many parents do you think actually know about that this is happening in their schools? I mean, easily 20% of Chicago Public Schools is Hispanic, and I think this is very cultural for them, the transgender movement, and certainly that was the feeling that we got in the room where you presented on Friday night.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, the last time I looked at Chicago Public School demographics, 47% of
47.
Chicago Public School is Hispanic.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I have talked in the Hispanic community, whether the barbershop, whether a Venezuelan refugee that lives on my block, or settings like where we found ourselves on Friday nights, which was a mix recently arrived immigrants and grandparents and people who have been here for quite a while, many people, the vast majority of them, I would easily say 90%, when I ask them, are you aware that Chicago Public Schools mandates teachers to keep name changes, pronoun changes, gender changes a secret from you as a guardian, and parent or parent? Are you aware that's the case? No, they are not aware that this is happening. In fact, many of them are just not aware of how the transgender movement is taking shape among the generation of teenagers.
And likely they're not aware of the videos that you showed that are actually propaganda videos that are being shown to students, even at young ages.
Right. To videos shown to students and to teachers. The watershed moment came for me in 2021, a moment where I knew that I had to get out. It was when a group of teachers inside my school decided to take a lot of the info that Chicago Public Schools was giving to us in online PD modules, and they said, you know what, this info is so important, it's so great, we need to present it to the students ourselves. We all need to teach this to our homerooms. And so they sent us a PowerPoint that we were expected then to present in homeroom a couple days later. And the PowerPoint said, the most controversial thing that the PowerPoint said, and again, this was directly from Chicago Public School Resources, is that the concepts of gender and sex are social constructs. They're not rooted in biology. And I was in a situation in which, wow, these words are going to have to come out of my mouth to a room full of teenagers who I'm the educator of? This can't be. This can't be. This is not right. And that was a very rough moment.
Okay. Hey, Chris, I've got to leave it there, but I want to thank you so much for coming on the program, and we will have you on again. I really appreciate you, letting us all know exactly what's going on, and thank you for your service to the children in the profession of teaching.
Yeah, great to talk with you, Jean. Happy
okay,
to be back
thanks,
on.
and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hut, hut! Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists.
modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Well, we're really thrilled that Chris came on and told us exactly what's going on in CPS. I mean, I'm sure there's much more that he can share. By the way, my organization, Parents Matter Coalition, is going to be putting on more discussions with Chris, and we'll be putting them out into the suburbs. And so we'll let you know when those are happening so you guys can listen in too. We all need to be informed. But listen, it's not just in CPS, by the way. This garbage is everywhere. West Cook News put out this story. To normal people, that's not just weird. That's a form of sex abuse. That's what Terry Schilling said, founder of American Principles Project, about the gay walk that is happening in this particular school. Let me see here. Yes, this is, okay. In 2022, Willard Elementary School in River Forest started a gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transsexual club for its students aged 7 to 10. A 2023 report by the Defense of Freedom Institute said complaints alleging sexual violence against students in K through 12 schools in the U.S. Department of Office tripled between 2010 and 2019. Maybe they're getting indoctrinated. A City Journal analysis of the report said that when public school employees are investigated for sexual abuse, many school districts are under no legal obligation to notify parents or even note the investigation the employee's personnel file. Anyway, it goes on and on about what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're sexually indoctrinating kids. That's what they're doing, and they're doing it in all sorts of LGBTQ ways. And that includes here. So they've got this a walk on Monday, June 3rd. Lincoln School Principal Casey Godfrey led his students ages 6 through 10 in a ceremony honoring the Progress Pride flag, created in 1978 to celebrate members of the gay and lesbian political movement. That's what he did. That's what Godfrey did. He's been leading his students in the annual pro-homosexual walk since 2022. Young kids. Yeah, this isn't right. None of it's right. We'll be back after this with Ted Dabrowski, and we're going to talk about that bogus, non-evidence-based funding that's costing us $17 billion.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 19th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package, which includes 25 one-minute commercials between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. And we also have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, and by Crosscom Public Adjusters. This is Chicago's election station. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app.
Former President Trump on the campaign trail in Las Vegas. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. His comments causing controversy with hospitality workers. Fox's Alicia Acuna.
The former president made news here in Las Vegas. And for one thing he said,
when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Not long ago, the Culinary Union, which represents 60,000 hospitality workers here in Nevada, issued a statement on X reading, "Relief is definitely needed for tip earners, but Nevada workers are smart enough to know the difference between real solutions and wild campaign promises from a convicted felon." As for what Trump did not do, make an official endorsement for the GOP Senate primary. In the crowded field, retired Army Captain Sam Brown and former U.S. Ambassador to Iceland, Dr. Jeff Gunter, are just two who are hoping to receive that support from the former president.
Nevada's state primaries are Tuesday. President Biden's team is defending a recent decision by the administration during his trip to France. Fox's Peter Ducey reports from Paris.
The president's national security advisor is now defending the new U.S. policy of letting Ukrainians use U.S. weapons to shoot at Russia inside Russia.
From the president's perspective, this was common sense, and it simply didn't make sense not to allow the Ukrainians to fire across that border to hit Russian guns.
The cemetery President Biden visited is the one Trump skipped as president. The Atlantic magazine at the time claimed Trump also called the war dead there suckers and losers. That is something Trump denies, but it's still a story President Biden tells all the time.
President Biden plans to meet with other G7 leaders this week. Narendra Modi is sworn in for a rare third consecutive term as India's prime minister. The 73-year-old popular but polarizing leader is the only second Indian prime minister to retain power for a third term. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly cloudy overnight with a low 54. Kicking off the new week tomorrow, a bit cooler, partly sunny with a high 69. Clear stargazing night tomorrow night, low 53. Partly sunny, real pleasant Tuesday, high 77. Pleasant again on Wednesday with clouds and sunshine, high up to 84. And watch for a passing thunderstorm Wednesday evening. I'm Ruth O'Brien on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hardworking military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Well, the weather's warming up and summer's just around the corner. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity. Golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer. Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints, or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Well, welcome back to The Real Story. Thanks for joining me this Sunday night. And yes, it's time to stop the lies and tell the truth. You know what? I helped write that intro to this show, and it's because I am tired of the lies. I mean, 6 years in Springfield. Oh my goodness. Lies, misinformation, you call it what you want, lack of attention to detail, not caring about the specifics, not looking at evidence, you name it. It was all a scam. It's still a scam. You just heard from Garrett Ziegler about Hunter Biden's laptop. They lied about that. They lied about COVID. We found that out with Fauci's stuff. I mean, nobody seems to be honest in government anymore. Nobody. And, people like Ted Dabrowski and I, we've beat our head. We've been beaten up a lot because we actually care about policy. We know that policy changes lives. We know that policy matters. And we know that good policy is good for everybody. It doesn't matter what political stripe you wear. It's just good for everybody. Lower property taxes are good for everybody. Just ask people in Tennessee. Enforcement of our laws so that you don't have criminals running rampant. That's good. It just makes sense, right? Good policy is just good policy. It doesn't matter your political stripe. But here in Illinois, everything is seen through a political lens. Everything is a back-scratching deal. And there's no bigger back scratch that happened than with the evidence-based funding formula. And Ted and I were there fighting it in 2017. And he just wrote this incredible report. Everybody needs to go to wirepoints.com and read it. And it's, the evidence so far in Illinois, evidence-based funding for K through 12 schools it's a flop. It's their special report. Ted, thank you so much for joining me tonight on this program.
Thanks for having me on, Jeannie.
Yeah. So, we knew this was going to happen. In my commentary today, I basically said, here's an I told you so story. We're not proud of that, but we certainly tried to warn them, right? The evidence was there that the evidence-based funding formula isn't evidence-based.
Yeah, I think sadly, just a second on what you were saying about policy and the way things work in Illinois, it's really become like what I call legalized corruption. Mm-hmm. They've created funding formulas like in this education formula to channel even more money to education, to channel more money to all the districts, to channel more money to superintendents and overall teacher salaries and all that. And it was a smart way for them to do it and govern around or let them do it. And so you end up with these bastardized education funding formulas that are really what they do is they shoot taxes through the roof and give more power to the unions to spend money.
Yeah, so there was certainly a push from the time that I showed up in Springfield in 2013. There was a push by the superintendents and the educational establishment. Those would be your associations that feed off of government and government large S. So like the Principals Association and the School Administrators Association, they were all in for the evidence-based funding formula. They started meeting continuously with legislators to try and push this. They brought in experts, and they started out with sort of these, soft hearings. We're just having a hearing on this. And then before you know it, legislation shows up. And in 2016, we defeated at that time, which was the main thing that they wanted to do. They wanted to basically take all the money from the suburbs, push it all to school districts that they felt were less funded because they didn't have the property wealth. And so, for them, the victory was, we got to hold harmless, which means we're always going to get the same funding that we always get all the time. And that hold harmless, though, is now working the opposite of the way it should, correct?
Yeah, well, I remember, Jeannie. I remember when you started showing this stuff to me. We were working together on it, and you started sending all these spreadsheets that the government had of how they were going to create all these inputs. Everything was about this evidence that, if you had the perfect ratio of teachers, different types of teachers per student, and textbooks per student, and a massive list of inputs, that suddenly miraculously, the poor districts would get more money, of course, and then they would start doing better. The outcomes would improve, and you had these two guys who were running around the country, two professors, Picus and Odin was the other one, and they were telling everybody that if you do this evidence-based funding, everything will be perfect. Well, sadly, our state bought it, and you and I were looking at all those inputs and going, this is crazy stuff. We used to be able to understand education formula where the money was going. Now it's really hard because it's so convoluted.
So what are the big takeaways? Yeah, what are the big takeaways from the report in your mind?
Well, the thing is that it's the obvious lies that you were talking about, where if you just throw tons more money in education, they say things will improve. Well, nothing's gotten any better. If anything, results. We're 7 years into this evidence-based funding, and results today are worse than they were when we started. And yet, cumulatively, over the base amount that we had in education spending back in 2017, we're $8 billion higher than that now, and you can't find evidence of any improvement. In fact, you've got these school districts, poor districts, that have a lot more money today and are at their, quote, adequacy levels. They're doing worse. So it's a farce, and you can see that. And then not only that, but we knew that before it happened, because we saw that happening in Ohio, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Arkansas, which had implemented evidence-based funding, and yet the results were no better after several years there.
So here's the deal. So this is supposed to go through 2027, and if you do the math, for the next 3 years, they will add on top of the base from 2017. We've already added $8.4 billion. They will add in the next 3 years from that base another $8.4 billion. So $17 billion more in education. Also, that's just state funding of education. Your property taxes for schools have not gone down. They've ran additional referendums for school. You've had additional federal government money coming in, not just COVID money, but other government funds coming in. I know for sure the career and technical budget, I just looked at that the other day, and it used to be standard. Like, it was always the same amount. It was always about $4 million that was coming in for that line item. Well, now I think it's up like to $56 million. So you've got more federal money coming in for every single line item as well. And Ted, we're going to spend another $8.4 billion in the next 3 years in education, and I don't think we're going to see anything for it.
No, like you said, that's just the evidence-based funding formula. There's tons more that goes into property taxes. But let me give you a couple. Can I give you a couple examples?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's this school called Laraway. It's in Will County. It's now spending $27,000 a kid. It is at 200% of what they say is the adequate amount. So it's got double what it needs. And yet only 27% of kids there read at grade level. Same thing in LaSalle at Seneca. They spend $32,000. They have 2.4 times the amount they needed in money now after all that extra money that's gone there. And only 28% of kids read at grade level. And I can go through the list and just tell you all these districts that are way over 100%. Like, they're getting what the formula says they should get and more. And yet most kids can't read. Like, the overwhelming amount of kids can't read at grade level. So this is another part of the story that, it's just a mess. It's just not truthful.
So I know another school that you did highlight was in Woodford County, Germantown Hills School District 69, but it's only at 69% of adequacy target. So it's still, according to their formula, under-resourced, yet 71% of its students read at grade level, the 22nd highest reading score in the state. And they spend a fraction of the money.
Right. They hardly spend any money. They're poor, and they have some of the best reading results in the state. And there's a few of those, right? So they go counter the story that you need more money.
Yes.
Prairie Hill in Winnebago, it's at 70% of its funding, one of the worst funded in the state, and yet 75% read at grade level.
So there's some people doing it right. There's some principals, some superintendents that have cracked the code about how to get kids reading, and it doesn't take $30,000 per student to do so.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And those aren't the ones who are elevated to the Illinois State Board of Education. No. Instead, we have, Mr. Sanders that came from Elgin U46, and his school district was a disaster beforehand. And so what did we do? We elevated him to the state superintendent. That's what they've done. They don't talk to the superintendent of Germantown Hills School District 69. It's backwards.
No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. And Tony Sanders, during what was it? He was there 11 years, I think, as superintendent, and just 1 out of every 10 minority kids were reading at grade level. That's not the right person to elevate. If you're looking at it, it's the right person to fire.
His predecessor, though, was the superintendent. Same thing. Her school was a failing school, and they made her the school superintendent for all of Illinois. I mean, so. Here's the deal, though. I mean, we both did this analysis in 2017 where we could find schools that were doing a really good job at a fraction of the cost, and we didn't dig in and find out what they're doing. Instead, they just decided to throw more money at it.
Yeah, Jeannie, if I could just tell you the results of 2023 for some of the key cities. In Rockford, just 8 out of every 100 black kids can read at grade level. In Peoria, it's 7 out of every 100 black kids. In Decatur, it's 12 out of every 100 white kids that can read at grade level. That means that 88 out of every 100 white kids in Decatur can't read at grade level. This is how bad it is everywhere. Mount Vernon, just 3% of blacks can read at grade level. In Waukegan, just 13% of Hispanic kids can read at grade level. So it's a disaster, and we're throwing billions into this. There has to be a total revolt, and that needs to be sadly the only thing that's around is school choice, and our legislature killed that.
Well, and speaking of school choice, because part of the reason they got the evidence-based funding formula passed is that they paired it with that tax credit scholarship, buying off a few legislators to do so, because there were quite a few Democrat legislators who didn't want to vote for that. But they paired those two together. And I knew at that time, and I'm sure you knew at that time, they're not going to continue. They're going to let this 5-year program sunset. And sure enough, they gave it an extra year, and then they killed it. So they killed the tax credit scholarship, which was the only reason to vote for the EBF.
Right. That was the foolish thing that Governor Rauner agreed to. He said, "Hey, I'll give you the evidence-based funding model and your billions as long as you give me the school choice thing."
Yeah.
But he left the sunset provision in the school choice, and guess what? The unions, of course, killed that when the sunset came around.
Well, okay, so I'm going to tidy up this one because we're going to hold you over the break, and we're going to talk about the Chicago debt article that came out in City Journal that a lot of people are talking about as well. We're going to talk about that after the break, but to just tidy this up, just so you understand, that now the latest conversation is that they're going to discuss school districts that aren't doing well with the resources that they received from the evidence-based funding formula are now going to be evaluated if they actually moved that money into one of the 34 categories that were supposed to improve their schools. And so now they're going to finally audit it after spending $8.4 billion, whether or not those school districts were using those funds appropriately. Now, this is all a joke. We all know this is a joke. It's not really going to happen, but that's the latest rhetoric. Okay, we'll be right back with more from Ted Dabrowski on Chicago debt.
We ask a lot from our dads.
Dad, can you read me a story? Dad, come watch me play soccer. Hey, Dad, I need help with my homework.
And they do a lot for us. Wouldn't it be great to give something special back to your dad this Father's Day? Well, our friends at Woodland Windows and Doors want to help you do just that. When you enter to win $500 in cash for Dad, just go to 560theanswer.com/dad to enter between now and June 14th. That's 560theanswer.com/dad. Presented by Woodland Windows and Doors.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, I'm Donna. I love gardening. I love to go on walks with my husband and my dog, and I love taking Balance of Nature. It makes me feel sparkly every single day. It's just an amazing product. I'm 56, but I feel 21. I feel so much alive. Balance of Nature is magic in a bottle, and I really love it.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited-time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Our communities deserve to have their tax dollars spent efficiently. All over Chicagoland, there is an increased need for vital projects like wetland improvements, enhancing water quality, or stormwater mitigation to protect homes against devastating floods. Too often, public officials find themselves at the mercy of outside advisors when planning, budgeting, and building these projects. And let's face it, they rarely meet deadlines or budgets, leaving our communities vulnerable. There's a better way forward. Control Point Engineering. At Control Point Engineering, we're more than just civil engineers. We're champions of quality and efficiency with over 40 years of hands-on experience. Teaming up with Earthworks Land Development, we're breaking down barriers and streamlining processes. Say goodbye to disjointed partnerships and hello to seamless collaboration. From conceptualization to construction, Control Point Engineering delivers everything you need in one unified package, saving you time and money. Visit ControlPointLLC.com today to learn about our successful projects all across Chicagoland. Again, that's ControlPointLLC.com.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free. And within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. And read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college. And will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay, welcome back. We're going to get right to it because I don't want to waste any time. There's so much to talk about with Ted Dabrowski from WirePoints. We've been working together for a very long time on public policy issues, and one of them, of course, is debt. And in fact, we had Mark Glennon, your partner there at WirePoints. We had both of you guys down to testify about some sort of debt relief, allowing municipalities in the state of Illinois to go bankrupt, because guess what? Chicago is bankrupt. They really are. They owe more than they own, and they've been that way for a long time. And in fact, I love to bring this out. I've saved this story. I use it over and over again because it's a really good reminder. Back in 2013, Barron's did a story on the debt load of the top 20 different cities. And of course, Chicago's at the very bottom. At that point, as a percentage of its government revenue, it had 683% of debt when you included debt and pension liability. And guess what? Since October 14th, 2013, when that article came out, it has not gotten better. The title of the little excerpt was Windy City, the Risky City, and it is so true. Nothing has improved in Chicago in that time. We are a debt junkie. And this article is so prescient, how debt ate Chicago. It's written by Judge Glock. It was in City Journal, and it's gotten a lot of play because it came out, if you get their weekly emails, it came out this week. But Ted, hell, I mean, honestly, we've been talking about this for 8 years, 10 years. We've been talking about everything that he put in that article. We have said ad nauseum. And now I'm finally getting messages from people, emails. Oh, hey, did you see that City Journal article? Yeah, well, guess what? Been talking about it for a long time.
No, you're absolutely right. This is a lot of the stuff that you and I have summarized for more than a decade. And what he did was he did a really good job of pulling it all together. And that's kudos to him for that. But he went from the migrant crisis to the empty buildings to the pension debts to just the way they've been doing the bond issues. It's really an interesting thing because Chicago is as much as we complain about it, it's still very vibrant, right? It's still big. It's still got the overwhelming majority of its assets still in place. But it runs a really dangerous game the way it does everything, because it's got so much debt. It's got so much debt that it makes Detroit look good in the sense that this pension debt's much bigger than anything Detroit had, and it also has been able to play the game of finding money through TIFs, through COVID, and it keeps surviving. But it's got a really ugly profile. If you look at the foundation, the financial foundation of the city, it's really, really dangerous.
Well, I mean, and he writes, and we knew this anyway, but you're right. He wrote it very conversational, so it's easy for folks to grasp and understand. There weren't a lot of charts and a lot of like complicated graphs that people had to understand. So it says one important reason for them having a hard time getting cops to high priority 911 calls is that the city is allocating almost half of its budget to debt and pensions. So
yeah. I mean, when the pensions suck up all the money, it's hard to fund other things you want to do properly, or you're just getting more debt somewhere else. And that was, by the way, that was a key thing that we wrote about a couple of years ago, that half of 911 calls go unanswered because there's not a police available. And I'm talking about the serious calls, not the trivial calls, the serious ones. So a big part of that is there's 2,000 fewer policemen today. There's 11,600 versus there used to be 13,600 5 years ago. Why? Well, part of the reason is there's not enough money.
Well, that's for sure. And what happens is you get this hollowing out. So if you're a suburbanite and you go down and you go to the theater, or maybe you're taking a ball game or a museum or something like that, you don't really notice it. But at some point, they can no longer paper through any of this. The coronavirus funds are going to dry up. And in fact, I think all of them need to be spent by FY26. So those are going to go away. And I think what folks in Illinois don't understand is that Chicago, the worse Chicago gets, the more you're going to pay as an Illinoisan. Isn't that true?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think, it's going to be a drag on everybody. Mm-hmm. And, Chicago is, this economic engine, but the weaker it gets, the more it's going to put stress on the rest of the system. So you're absolutely right about that. And I tell you what the one thing this article didn't mention, I'm surprised it didn't, is the term doom loop. Big cities right now, like San Francisco, like St. Louis, when fewer people are coming in, when fewer people are using transit, when the buildings are half empty, that's going to put a massive strain when the new leases come up in those big office buildings, and they only lease like half of the building instead of the 80% that it is now. That means property taxes from those buildings are going to go way down, and that burden is going to be pushed on the people and residents. And that's another scary part of the leg that hasn't dropped yet. And I hope it's not as bad as I think it's going to be.
Well, with the debt load that Illinois actually has itself, it's still paying 20% of its budget towards pensions. It just added $750 million in taxes. And the only thing left to do at this point, when coronavirus funds also get depleted out of the budget next year, the only thing that's left to do is to go try and take another bite at the apple for a income tax increase. And I don't think that's out of the question for them to try.
No, I think you're right, because when there is no money, they've gotten used to spending this money. You see Brandon Johnson trying to spend what's left and handing it out for things like universal basic income. So when the money's not there next year and people are going to be expecting that kind of stuff, well, then they're going to come after tax hikes again. We'll see how the city handles that.
Well, look, there's a lot of fat in the budget, but Governor Pritzker signed it this week. He signed that massive budget, the biggest in the state of Illinois, and there is well over $1 billion going to all these nonprofits, including, believe it or not, the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability, which is a 501c3. They got $250,000 in the budget. They don't need a dime. There's nothing they do that is in the taxpayers' interest to fund.
No, which is exactly why they get the money, right? Because they push for progressive tax hikes and things like that. So Governor Pritzker's happy to fund them so they can be the cheerleaders for more tax hikes.
Well, Ted, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm coming up against a hard break, but we will definitely have you on more. These are, again, folks, look, Ted has been working on these issues along with Mark Glennon for a very long time. And so you've got these outsiders writing about Chicago and Illinois, and then again, folks saying like, wow, this is such an incredible article. Hey, look, we've been talking about it for a long time. Wake up, folks. You know what? You change out the politicians, you get different policy. And that's what we have to work on.
Well, for sure.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ted, for joining me tonight. Okay. Take care.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says we are witnessing a sham.
The leader of the opposition is sitting as we speak in a courtroom, and the witness arrayed against him stole from Donald Trump. They are lying for money. They are lying for power.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
News. I'm Kathleen Maloney. A centrist member of Israel's war cabinet, Benny Gantz, is resigning.
In stepping away, Gantz implied the Israeli government is putting political survival above securing the release of hostages, and that makes a complete victory over Hamas impossible.
Fox's Gernal Scott, a second war cabinet member, Gadi Eisenkot, is also stepping down. The Manhattan DA, who successfully prosecuted former President Trump, turns witness on Capitol Hill this summer.
Alvin Bragg is agreeing to testify before Congress, but it's unlikely to happen before former President Trump is sentenced in July. This comes after Bragg won his case against Trump.
Fox's Chanley Painter. Republicans called the prosecution against the former president and prosecutorial abuse. America is listening to Fox News.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
It's Reveille. In the Illinois budget are billions of grants going to hundreds of nonprofits that don't appear to have any public purpose. Usually, politicians complain about items hidden in the budget months after the budget has been signed into law, like the new benefit hidden in last year's budget that makes taxpayers pay for very expensive weight loss drugs. No doubt, similar hidden expenses are in this year's Illinois budget. The 3,389-page budget bill lays out $53 billion in spending, the most in the history of the state. Despite the length of the budget bill, though, there's no excuse for voting for millions in unverified grants to nonprofits. This spending was not hidden. Any legislator only need to read to page 12 to find the first completely non-essential handout to a special interest nonprofit. $500,000 for the Irish American Heritage Center? Not much further on page 33, begins a list of millions of other grants to other nonprofits. The Indo-American Center is receiving $3 million from taxpayers. Their mission is to help new immigrants from South Asia get settled in America, including giving them advice on how to get government benefits. The Institute for Positive Living is getting $1 million. They serve youth in Chicago. Their website hasn't been updated for 2 years. Becoming a Man and Working on Womanhood are getting a whopping $2.7 million. What do they do? As usual, Democrats continue mistaking inputs for outputs, believing throwing more money at a problem will solve the problem. The result is massive budgets that abuse taxpayers. To pay for the profligate spending, the Democrats raised taxes by $750 million. All of that and more will go to support illegal aliens in the state. Time to stop the insanity and vote the Democrats out of office. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight. Wow, they're back after a 2-year hiatus. My fault. They wanted to come on, but I just had so many programming issues. First of all, I hope you enjoyed that Memorial Day tribute. So that was part of the deal. And then last week I was full up with topics. Hey, Eduardo from Tampa Bay, hold on until the end of this half hour and we'll get you on. I want to talk to you, get your perception of what's going on from Florida. Okay, but we've got, of course, my favorites, Edgar County Watchdogs, Kirk Allen and John Kraft. And, these guys are FOIA masters. But guess what? There's a lot of people in government that are very, very good at ignoring FOIA or trying to subvert it. And that became a huge topic of conversation during the Fauci hearing this week. So this is Congressman and also Dr. Jackson raking Fauci over the coals about what his offices did about FOIA. Take a listen here.
Dr. Moran's, your senior advisor, who you have tried today to distance yourself from, but whose large volume of emails clearly demonstrate that you had a very close and personal relationship with, and who reported to you directly, has openly bragged about how he subverted FOIA requests. I remind you that the law requires you and your former organization to comply with Freedom of Information Act request. It is not optional. If you or your employees or your organization that you oversaw were systemically avoiding transparency and illegally hiding or destroying documents that rightfully belong to the American people, then you should be criminally charged, and they should as well. In addition, Dr. Gregory Folkers, your chief of staff, also engaged in illegal practices in which he crafted messages using symbols instead of letters to avoid FOIA exposure. In an email, April 2020, from Dr. Moran's to Peter Daszak, he says, quote, "There are things I can't say." Well, I wonder what he couldn't say. He also went on to say, quote, "Except Tony is aware, and I have learned there are ongoing efforts within NIH to steer through this with minimal damage to you, Peter, and colleagues, and to NIH and NAID," end quote. And then a few days later, he said, quote, "I have reason to believe that there are already efforts going on to protect you," end quote. In February of 2021, Dr. Moran's wrote to Boston University scientist Gerald Kirsch saying, quote, "I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I'm FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe," end quote. Dr. Fauci, I want to know what you were being protected from and what you needed to be safe from. I'm going to go on because I have a little time here. He went on to say, quote, "Plus, I deleted most of the earlier emails after sending to Gmail. Once again, illegal and an actual crime." Dr. Moran's noted in another email to Dr. Kirsch saying, quote, I learned the tricks last year from an old friend, Marge Moore, who heads our FOIA office and also hates FOIAs," end quote. It is absolutely amazing to me that Dr. Moran's and Marge Moore still have jobs and taxpayers are still paying their salaries.
How about that? Kirk, what's your response?
Nothing surprises me, Jeannie.
Yeah, no, this is the federal government.
We see that we see that at the local level. I mean, right there in Shelby County, the former state's attorney deleted entire files from a computer and completely scrubbed her Facebook page, and nobody has a problem with deleting of records in that office. And she was a top law enforcement officer.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, they spend a lot of taxpayer money. They have these protected jobs. They have fat pensions. And in this case, Fauci and his whole entourage essentially lied to the American people about COVID. And in that same hearing, he says he basically made up the 6-foot distance. Oh, that didn't come from science, he said. Yeah, no kidding. These people, it's disgusting. And then they fully admit. I mean, they should be criminally charged. They should be criminally charged for just that content that Congressman Jackson read. Oh, well. All right. Hey, we were going to talk about, we want to talk about FOIA. You've got some information on that. But, Kirk, you and I came across something this week that I thought was even more interesting, and I wanted to talk about this. So I caught this press release from Governor Pritzker. Governor Pritzker announces $41 million in grant funding for community development block grant public infrastructure recipients across Illinois. So it's $41 million. Now, think about it. $53.1 billion budget. He is out there with $41 million awarded to 32 communities. So it meant less than $2 million for the most part on these communities. And they're going to support critical repairs to water, sewer, and drainage infrastructure to enhance safety and quality of life. And I thought, I've been looking into a lot of these grants. I've been wondering what's going on. And I've been wondering about some of this stuff like water and sewer systems and things like that. That's something that your city should be taking care of. Now, if you're going to replace a bridge, a lot of times you don't have, we had to replace a train bridge in the city of Wheaton. I mean, I think it was $80 million. So there you get a lot of federal funding, you get a little bit of state support, and then the community comes in with a couple million for that one. But that's a huge project. These sewer systems, these are rate-based sewer systems, water systems that should be provided for by the taxpayers, the ratepayers really there. But anyway, going down, I found out that Kansas, your city, the village of Kansas was getting $1.3 million. So I called you up and said, hey, you're getting $1.3 million for a water project. And you're like, wow, that's great. You should see our water. It's awful. Tell the rest of the story, Kirk.
Well, we've had absolutely the most amazing discolored water in our village for years. And they've spent a fortune to upgrade the entire plant, but they still have a problem. They haven't fixed the mains. The mains is the problem. They've been in place since 1914. The whole east side of town is asbestos water pipes. That's a major problem. But the money we just got, $1.31 million, I confirmed today, it is for a water tower. Now, we have a water tower, and it'd be nice to have a bigger one, no problem. But the one we have works just fine. But we're going to build a new water tower, and we're going to put all that clean water from the new plant into that water tower and do what? Distribute it through the mains that haven't been replaced, which means the water problem here has not been fixed.
Oh, it's just, and the picture you sent to me is disgusting. Does anybody actually drink the water coming out of the tap?
No. Most people have got, filtration systems that they put in or they buy water. But that is the water you will see come out of your faucets and into your toilets and into your showers. What you saw is what we see on a regular basis in the town of
that's
Kansas,
sad.
Illinois.
That's sad. Look, I know Kansas is not a wealthy town, and I actually think our state money should go to help the people of Kansas have fresh water. We should. But I have rattled off grant after grant after grant. I'm up to over $1 billion in non-essential grants going to nonprofits that nobody knows what the hell they do, and instead it should be going to projects like this. You should not have to have dirty water in this state. That should be a priority, but it is not for the Democrats. I'm really mad about this.
Well, speaking of grants, now it's been a few years since we looked into it, but and John can probably opine on this. I believe the DuPage County was giving away approximately $1 million a year in grants.
Yeah, they still do that. Mm-hmm.
And most of those entities, it's like, where in the county code does it say we can give to all these different foundations and for what purpose? If we can afford to give it away, that means we're taxing too much. Let me decide where I want to distribute my money, not the government.
Yeah, no, there's a gazillion of these. And again, I have an intern working on that spreadsheet, going through 3,389 lines in the budget to put it into a readable format so people can look at where their money's going. Okay, hey, we got to take a break, and we're going to be back with John. Okay?
Hut, hut. Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to my garage. I don't need new cars. In fact, I like old cars. Old cars remind me of me. I take Balance of Nature. I feel great. Take my word for it. If you want to feel great, take Balance of Nature. You'll never regret it.
Make a splash into summer with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement while supplies last, with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Okay, John Kraft, Edgar County Watchdog. Are you going to give us a Dalton update, or are we going to talk about something else?
Yeah, we can talk about Dalton. We really need a team of full-time reporters on Dalton.
Well, hey, she got money in the budget too, by the way. Can't remember how much it was, but she was listed, Dalton.
Yeah, she'll spend it on travel.
Okay.
Okay, so in Dalton, the past two city council village board meetings, she blocked off the entire village parking lot, the streets around the village or village hall, and most importantly, she blocked the handicapped parking spots, which she can't do.
They care so much. They care.
So even
they're nice people.
They're
really nice people. They care a lot. They have a nice. Well, she came to my door and she knocked on it and she had a nice smile. So I think I'll vote for her.
But and she gives away free gas and she gets votes. The another portion is they're broke. the town is broke. They can't pay the bills they've already approved to be paid. They failed to pay several insurance premium, which leaves them at a risk of having no liability insurance. The fire department's filed a grievance over insurance premium non-payments. They lost their third-party administrator. They're behind on waste disposal contractual payments, and they haven't been paying their attorneys, and their lawsuits keep piling up. I mean, we add to them at least once or twice a month because they won't answer simple FOIA requests. I mean, it's ridiculous. They won't provide anything we ask. Period. Nothing.
So
we
is
have to sue them.
she collecting property taxes still?
Who knows?
I mean, this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. Where is the Attorney General? Is he just worried about her nonprofit instead of looking at the true malfeasance? Where's the Auditor General? Where's Governor Pritzker? Where's Will Davis? Where's the other state reps down there? Where are they?
They're all
AWOL. Yeah, Governor Pritzker spoke to this, and he said he didn't want to get the Attorney General involved.
Where are they? Where's Kim Fox?
Well, Kim Fox could do a lot immediately if she wanted to, but apparently that's not on her radar screen.
Where's how did she get away with blocking off handicapped parking for the city meeting, not letting people park there?
I don't know, but it violates disability rights, and the Attorney General's Disability Rights Bureau says that it's the sole enforcement for those types of issues, and it gives a hot link on their cheat sheet, disability rights sheet, and I clicked on that, and it went to a blank page, and I had to search the Attorney General's website to actually get to the page where with the complaint that you can file a complaint with. So they're even making it hard to file complaints.
So were you going to file the complaint on behalf of the Dalton residents?
No, it needs to be somebody that has a placard that attempted to show up and there was no handicap parking. That's who it needs to be.
So here's an article from NBC5 Chicago. Governor Pritzker on Thursday addressed growing issues in suburban Dalton, including the controversies surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the chaos that unfolded in the recent months. Speaking to reporters, he said, "We've looked into whether we ought to put resources, whether it's state police or their anti-corruption efforts or asking the Attorney General. The reality is there are already 2 pretty significant investigations going on. We'll support them in everywhere we can, but it's just a matter if you want everybody running over each other in those investigations, or do you want 2 concerted efforts to get the facts?" What a cop-out. He is the head enforcer. He could shut this crap down immediately. It's his party. It's his state.
They could shut it down immediately. A good thing happened also last week in a bill with a whole bunch of bad things in it. But one good thing, Henyard, as a township supervisor in Thornton Township, had a compensation ordinance passed last December that cut the salaries of her office and the other offices to $25,000. That would have been a fantastic article. But the ordinance had a provision that if she got reelected, then she kept her $250,000+. But if a new person got elected, their salary was $25,000. So State Rep West put this in the bill, and it passed, and says the township's prohibited from decreasing the salary for a person elected as supervisor of a township while maintaining the salary of an incumbent. So, that took care of that if the governor signs the bill.
For Cook County.
Only townships in Cook County.
I mean, that's okay, fine, great. So you're doing something about her salary. She ought to have been forced out of office by her own party.
I know.
She should have been forced out of her office. And, I mean, Kim Fox should be all over this. Kwame Raoul should be all over this. Should have been shut down by now. She should be arrested.
I think she will be. I believe she'll be indicted shortly.
Okay. But in the meantime, these poor residents of Dalton now, they've got a mountain of bills to pay. They don't have the wealth to do it. I feel for them. I feel for them. But by the way, guys, you get the government you deserve. You voted for this stuff. I know they tried to vote her out. I get it. You cannot be bamboozled by these people with a pretty face. You can't do it. And a sweet talk. And then all your your Democrat state reps are going to say, "Oh, we capped the cost for inhalers." That's all they're going to say. We lowered your health care costs. That's going to be their mantra this year. We lowered your health care costs. We capped the cost for inhalers. That's what they're going to say. They did was they interfered with the free market. That's what they did. They didn't cap it for anyone. They made everybody else pay for it who don't use them. That's what they did. But that's what they're going to do because that's what they did in 2022. We capped your insulin costs. What the hell? What the hell, people? Wake up. Okay, I've got to leave it there. Got to go to break. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, we've got so much to talk about with you, and we will see you next week.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's lots of things you can try. Tough it out. Bite the bullet. Grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people. Relief Factor. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free, a daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that address the inflammation where it starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time, it helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try a Relief Factor instead. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Exxon has long been subjected to harassing proposals from anti-oil and anti-gas activists, forcing their proposals on the company's annual meetings with the help of federal regulators. The activists' agenda, to be clear, would destroy those companies and the American economy along with it. Exxon took legal action, and the proposal was dropped. Blue states then attempted to use their retirees' pension assets to stage a coup for control of Exxon, the world's largest privately owned energy company. Red states, represented by the State Financial Officers Foundation, fought back, urging investment firms to back the board. What happened? Exxon, red states, real investors, and freedom won big. The entire board was reelected with an average of 95% support. If the blue states had succeeded, this would have been the first time in American history that a state government essentially took control of a publicly traded company. We dodged a bullet.
The Real Story with Jeannie Ives continues on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, we have just enough time to take Eduardo's question from Tampa Bay. Welcome to the program, Eduardo.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. I heard Alderman Hopkins during the day about the ball coming up on the curfew for 8 p.m. I have a younger brother in Midway Airport, so I'm concerned about safety over there.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on this passing through? Because the alderman also is concerned that the extra pressure that's going to be put on the police when they're going to have to deal with the extra people coming in for the convention. So we're thinking about overworking the police.
No, I think everybody should be concerned. I mean, did you see the protesters in D.C. and then also you had a bunch of protesters?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the protesters took over Buckingham Palace too. They started putting up an encampment there. I said I said on my Twitter, look, this is just practice for the DNC. They're seeing how far they can be pushed. And Brandon Johnson, I don't know what he did. I haven't seen the follow up on that. This all happened yesterday, going into the night. But this is a big concern. Everybody's concerned about the DNC and what's going to happen here. Thanks a lot for your call, Eduardo. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too. Okay, we've got to leave it there. We're out of time, and we will see you next week on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. Thanks so much for joining me. If you missed anything, you can listen to it on Spotify.
AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 19th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package, which includes 25 one-minute commercials between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. And we also have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, and by Crosscom Public Adjusters. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
A political shake-up in Israel. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. Two members of Israel's war cabinet are resigning. Fox's Trey Yingst reports.
War cabinet members Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot resigned from the government. This is a major political shake-up and not good for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He will still be able to have a government and stay together as one, but he'll be far more reliant on right-wing ministers in his coalition. The development comes as we do have some good news to report. 4 former Israeli hostages are now home. They were rescued in a complex multi-part operation in central Gaza. Reports indicate special forces stormed 2 buildings in the Nuseirat refugee camp. There they engaged in firefights with Hamas gunmen, but ultimately completed their mission.
The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 274 Palestinians were killed in that Israeli raid. The Prime Minister of India has been sworn in for another term.
Narendra Modi sworn in Sunday for a rare third straight 5-year term as India's Prime Minister, relying on his coalition partners after his party failed to win a parliamentary victory in a surprise outcome. The 73-year-old Modi becoming just the second Indian Prime Minister after Jawaharlal Nehru to retain power for a third 5-year term. Modi's Hindu Nationalist Party won by landslides in 2014 and 2019, but failed to secure a majority to govern on its own in the latest national election. His current National Democratic Alliance coalition won enough seats to form a government with him at the helm. Paul Stevens, Fox News.
Newly chosen Haitian Prime Minister Gary Conille is out of the hospital after spending a night for treatment of an undisclosed condition. He says he's feeling well and ready to continue steering the country out of its current security crisis. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Partly cloudy and quite comfortable tonight with the low down to 54. We'll kick off the week on Monday with a cooler note, partly sunny skies, the high at 69. Tuesday, though, the warming trend begins, partly sunny and pleasant, the high up to 77. A beautiful day Wednesday with a mix of clouds and sunshine, even warmer, the high moving up to 86. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Windy City Safes in Niles wants to help you celebrate America this summer by giving away a Liberty Personal Home Safe. Enter to win from now until the 4th of July at 560theanswer.com/safe. That's 560theanswer.com/safe. And make sure to stop by Windy City Safe's showroom at 7310 North Milwaukee Avenue in Niles and receive a free American flag to display in your home or business while supplies last.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and tracking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration.